Alright guys, welcome back to Copa America. I hope you got the sillies out of your system. We are in the final match of the day. Now, before we get too much into this, it's worth noting both of these players have already qualified for Season 2 of Copa America. This match is strictly for seeding. So while it's not that it doesn't matter if they win or lose, it no longer is the difference of their life or death in Copa America. So at any rate, I'm Rifkin, joined tonight by Zombie Grub, worst co-caster slash friend ever, but spawning here in the bottom left corner of the map, the Blue Zerg player from the clan, or I guess Team Rebirth, Rivera.
In the upper right, as the red Zerg, it is in fact Blord.
Yeah, Tisla Lozano, and that is actually a CM Storm tag, guys. I remember this was one of the big questions of last season. We weren't sure if this was just kind of like a fan thing or an actual sponsorship or what the case may be, but Blord, however you want to pronounce his name, showed us some really cool stuff in Season 1. Some stuff that I will never forget. But we didn't actually get to see a whole lot of his ZVZ. A lot of what we saw was TVZ with him. Whether it was luck, coincidence, or how the brackets wore out, that may be his best matchup. I don't know. But we'll see how he does here in this ZVZ versus Rivera, who is another player that has, in fact, qualified to the group portion, the group stages of Copa America Season 2. Can you not? Can we focus on the game like professionals?
I'm focusing.
No, you're
very
encouraging bad behavior in Twitch chat while we're trying to cast a game. This is really not cool. I need you to focus on and not encourage specifically what you're encouraging, please.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, so ZVZ's actually come quite a far way, guys, from what it once was. Like, I still go back to the days of, like, Muta versus Muta, cringe a little bit in memory, but Roach versus Roach, while it might seem a little bit more boring, and while it's kind of got that really long build-up to it, it is one of the more intense ways to watch this game play. I think a long time ago I would have rated Bailing Zergling aggression as, like, the most intense ZVZ moments, but I really like watching a lot of the late game, you know, fungal growth, hydras, you name it.
Did we actually, we cast at least one series of Blord playing as Zerg, right?
I don't actually know.
Did he go ultras?
Probably, if I had to guess.
Main question. Yeah, well, yeah, because all we really remember is the ZVT. You know, against Mech, against Bio, against Rough. That's really where I remember it. Maybe he played a Protoss too and went for ultras, but there was about a week where there was a build that was fast ultras and ZVZ, but it didn't last long.
You know what, though? I remember those games. That was actually right around the time Belshire was still in the map pool, too. And they definitely aren't the go-to, but it's kind of like, you know, we just watched Cats do some hilarious bailing cheese, right? Situations that might not normally work, but because they caught your opponent off guard, surprise factor really factors in. And fast ultras is not something I guarantee you we're not going to see in the series, but something that does have that surprise element to it.
It certainly does. The whole idea is that you just can't survive until you get them. That's the biggest thing.
Stop linking that video.
What? I was asked.
Gonna
nice.
go make it like private or unlisted or something.
We have Blord going for a gasless expand compared to Rivera's, you know, gas. Really, it's odd how this dynamic works. While these lanes run from the base, kind of doing nothing, but still running. I don't know.
I mean, the 6 he had, I thought were gonna die. Like, you usually see them focus on the drones, get at least one or two kills.
So, yeah. What he did right there was just useless. They just ran around. Like, if you wanted to scout, you send one lane and then you get the scout. You know, not that hard. And of course, the bailing was even thrown in the front, so extra help there. Not too big of a deal. But what I was gonna talk about was that the gasless expand build is actually very effective at dealing with all-ins. You have to be very, very, like, it has to be an all-in. None of this, like, crappy, like, 4 Baneling stuff. It's going to be useless. You gotta really commit. And that looks like to be what Rivera is doing, although he does put on an ego chamber, so that's kind of odd.
Well, that actually, you know, it's funny though you bring up the point of gasless, because it's something that kind of has fallen out of favor. It's the same way the meta game shifts around. Like, because there's less all-ins out of lanes, there's less need to defend against it, right? So the gasless kind of falls off. Doesn't get a cancel, actually out of position for this. Rivera suddenly on top of Blord's queens. Transfuser's gonna go off, but he should lose all of these queens.
Yeah, just barely didn't get that second queen in the what would have been the choke there.
Yeah.
And he didn't make any lings behind this. He figured, I have a wall, I have queens, you're not breaking through this, especially with any banelings.
Four roaches are actually going to struggle to defend this too if they get surrounded upon. There's enough lings for this. And, you know, Rivera, he had made a couple more drones behind this. I think he was expecting this to not do so well, so he's trying to go for that late game. But now realizing, like, oh, wow, I've got the momentum swing. That puts every single larva of roaches into lings. He's going to keep this attack up. And rightfully so. It's a lot of pressure he can still apply.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing, is that usually Blord would go ahead and get the lead. He would be joining up behind it, saying, ha ha ha, try harder to break this wall, and he would get a really good lead. And the fact that he didn't let that happen was pretty big. The other option besides doing a ling attack is, of course, getting a faster third. But these gaseous expands have been turning into, you know, they've been incorporating all lins of their own with roaches.
This is a really forced counterattack. I mean, it's absolutely necessary, but slow ling's not that threatening. Blord does have a small handful of roaches that he cranked out in the defense there, but as pointed out, guys, he made all those drones, stopped, and is now just making army units since. And with an army, or with a drone lead of 41 to 36, none of them exposed at the third, Rivera should be able to crush this defensive, this force with his defense. Yeah,
it's not his roaches quite out, so maybe with the lings on a surround, I think he could just focus fire and get it, and he might want to, really. Oh no, turning back to fight this isn't gonna work.
He's even gonna save his third. That would have been the real small victory here to get Blord maybe back into this, but this will not go down. Okay, so a bit of a messy situation here for Blord, and it really sucks too, because you gotta consider, like, if that evolution chamber had been one grid space to the right, if you had thrown down 2 evolution chambers, this never would have gotten that crazy sort of spiral out of control moment. But coming in here with a massive supply lead, Rivera's got the drone lead, he's got a third base, he's got a lot of lings, a lot of banelings, and a small handful of roaches to work with, but it's going to be enough. It's 9 roaches to 6, so right now 9 roaches to 10. But it's the banelings, it's the zerglings that are really going to swing the force of this.
Plus, he's going to have an upgrade ahead of his opponent. Usually when you go for gasless, you have those 2 Evo chambers, and you get pretty far ahead when it comes to the upgrades. They just start him so late that it just, well, I mean, Rivera does have a timing right here. Tries to go for the gold. That's kind of a cool idea, like trying to get ahead somehow, knowing you're a little bit behind, but it just doomed and failed.
I kind of wish he would have gone up, but, you know, the big thing was he still sees with this overlord there's no third. So there's no there's not really the necessity to pressure here for Rivera. Like, he could push in and he probably could take a fight to win the game. But that's a probably type thing. Because he's got his own third up and he knows his opponent doesn't, you know, he tried to take the gold, this is kind of him just really extending his lead, so he's got more of a guaranteed victory with the follow-up attack. Way more roaches out now, too. A huge lead in army supply, and quite frankly, tech's also in his favor. He's got level 1 upgrades, he's got speed. Blord's kind of naked right now. It's all on the way, but it might not be here for the time he engages.
Yes, he's naked, just like that nightmare where you show up to class without any clothes.
No, no, oh no, oh no. No. Ah!
Rifkin soundboard. Thank you. Rivera also going to go ahead and get Tunneling Claws, which is a cool little, it's a style that we've been seeing a lot more, but I frankly don't think he needs it. Hitting right before 1-1 finishes as well.
Yeah, it's just too overwhelming. I mean, the roaches coming out might be able to hold this off, but it's one of those that will cost moments because it's just starting to spiral out of control. Rivera with a very nice lead in this game. We'll take a lead in this series. Choosing to disengage. Well, okay, I thought it was going to be killing blow, but he'll kill a third, and that is in and of itself a killing blow.
Yeah. Of course, those rocks were torn down by Blord trying to have a way to save this, but he was already so far behind. Well played.
Yeah, game number 1 going to go to Rivera. But as stated as well, guys, this series might be a little bit less stressful than most because you've already qualified for Copa America. At this point, it is strictly for placement. It is strictly for seeding. And honestly, a loss like this is not that big of a deal.
No.
Alright, I've actually gone and bundled up both of these replays from Cats. I'm going to go send them out to the Copa America people so that they can hopefully put that in the highlight reel. One of those 2 games out of Cats definitely had better make it into the Copa highlights, or I'm going to be personally offended because that's so good. But we just gotta wait for the next map, figure out what it is. I can go update the scoreboard while we're waiting as well. Because, of course, I don't know a lot about Rivera. I was expecting Blord to maybe take that series, but early aggression and ZVZ can really compile very quickly. So pardon me while I blankly stare at this screen here, guys, and get this sorted.
Okay.
Oh yeah, they're creating it right now. Cool.
Okay.
So, you know, one small mistake I've made today, other than a very severe lack of sleep,
And other things.
other than yeah, other things that I've said on stream,
What?
I haven't eaten today, and I'm starting to feel a little bit dizzy here. So,
Really?
I think after this game starts, I'm gonna quickly go grab like a granola bar or something.
Damn it! I thought someone actually made it already. He's requesting someone to make it.
What? Oh no!
Nothing,
Don't make it.
Nothing.
No,
Nothing.
no, don't.
No. No. It's nothing.
But yeah, so probably for like a minute or two, I'm just gonna get, you have to solo cast. Hope you can handle.
Oh, me solo cast? Okay.
A whole minute or two. I know it's a lot of work.
What
but
are you doing?
I trust in you.
What, you're gonna go eat?
Yeah, I'm just gonna grab a granola bar or something. I'm seriously, like, got the shakes. I'm hungry. I was thinking this would end way sooner than it did. It's been a pretty long Copa cast though, guys. Not that 3.5 hours is long in general. I'm used to like very long casts, but it's been a long day. Oh, I got hosts. There we go. The go-go for both these guys is called. So we're gonna hop into King Sejong Station. See you guys in a moment. Alright, welcome back, guys. Currently leading 1-0 at the moment, spawning in the top left corner of the map from Rebirth. It's going to be the Blue Zerg player, Rivera.
The bottom right's as the red Zerg, it is CM Storm's Blord.
Alright, and camera is on you. Be right back.
Okay. Alrighty then. No, wait, no! No, come back! Oh, whatever, I'll fix it. Okay. I'm magic, I fixed it. Without the mouse scroll and knowing how to zoom in and out, it's cool. Alright, so game number 2. Game number 1 was, honestly, it was kind of straightforward. You went for a build that was supposed to be actually kind of easy to hold off most Ling attacks, even Ling Bling all-ins, unless they're really dedicated, and even then, put on a spine call, you see it coming, you can still hold it off, and just one slip-up caused just too much damage. Honestly, maybe if Blord hadn't made all the units and felt the need to counterattack, or maybe if his counterattack actually killed the third, he would have been in a lot better position. But, you know, he forced out all these units instead of the drones that would help Blord come back, and then the units didn't actually do anything. They didn't they didn't trade, and they didn't kill the hatchery. So it was a pretty bad mid-ish game that just, of course, once you're down in roach numbers, it's literally a numbers game. There's only so much a concave versus a non-concave can do. So hopefully Blord can do not make that same mistake, although it is King Sejong. He is going for gasless as of right now. So is Rivera, however. But the reason I say that it's going to be, it might be kind of hard is that this wall, as we see in, the Pro player had some trouble with it. It's just a very large wall off with this little, terrible spot that they actually get through. Walling it off as a Zerg player is actually consisting of usually a spine crawler somewhere and then actually a diagonal wall. And that's the way you got to do it. But it's still very effective against dealing with Ling all-ins. But it's, if you messed up once on a kind of an easy wall overgrowth, then, it's going to be a lot easier to do that same accidental slip up. Rivera did go for gas, so actually identical to last game so far, I believe. And I wonder if he'll do that same attack. I would honestly say don't, because while it did work last time, it was because of a severe misclick by your opponent, which they probably don't usually do. You might say, you keep doing it on ladder because, it's just ladder opponents one after another. But against someone that has been in Copa America, they got through the groups last time. They actually took out some surprising, wins. I would not bank on them making the same mistake. And also, they also in turn would know that you probably have that up your sleeve, and they'd be a little more cautious. Lings get in. Did they actually scout the gas? They didn't seem to go that far in. They did scout one of the gases. Hello.
Yeah, but Blord just fell short of scouting his opponents, actually. I came back just in time to see that drone die, though, so... Getting a drone kill is nice, but seeing your opponent's gas timings is huge. Like, confirming whether it's going to be roaches versus speedlings versus possible banelings or not.
I wonder what Blord's going to do, because he didn't get gas very fast at all, but he still only got one gas, just very delayed. There's, you usually either get, the 15 gas, or it's a little bit later, or you go for the 5-minute double gas. You kind of want, in between, almost, so... Not sure. I guess he's just planning on getting speed at a decent time. That's not even at a decent time. Maybe it was a fake, because he didn't actually get that much gas. He only got 40 and then he pulled back off. But it seems like such a weird thing to fake. I don't know. Point is, he's not going to have speed. He's actually not going to have Baliness either. And it looks like Rivera is gearing up for maybe 2 base Muta. No, he doesn't have all 4 gases.
I mean, Blord's the one with the 4 gases, but he's not mining from any of them.
Yeah, I'm really... That's why I was confused about it.
I guess this is maybe one of those scenarios where, you kind of take the drones off for a second to get those extra 3 or 4 drones out to maximize your drones. I mean, it's kind of, I don't know, kind of worth it, I guess, if you technically need all those extra minerals, but I think having the extra gas mining this whole time would have paid off a lot better, because right now Rivera's playing very defensively, but had he gone for a bailing all-in, I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of wall at the front, but it's not possible to hold this all day.
It was weird, but it gets pretty much the same exact place as we saw last game, right? He gets the earlier roaches, he skips speed, and he gets a double upgrade, which is what we usually see from a gases until 5 minutes. So he does, of course, get that wall up because he was able to wait for those creep tumors. Otherwise, the diagonal wall is just really awkward. But that should help later on when speedling counterattacks are still they're still good. You might look at this and say well, I guess Rivera got a useless speed upgrade. It's not really true, especially since he's going mutas. His whole goal is going to be attacking in the main with the mutas, and also maybe killing a third or getting into the main as well with lings.
Well, third bases are being taken for both players, and it's worth noting these are both visible clearly to those overlords. But Rivera, as you kind of guessed, is going to be going for those mutas. I mean, mutas and CVZ have a funny place, guys. They open strong, they pick off banelings, they're good at sort of sniping off roaches from afar, but there's kind of this golden rule to ZVZ where if your opponent doesn't also make mutas, you don't lay too thick on the mutas, because there are units that get shut down very easily through one big move type thing. Whereas roaches can engage, disengage, you gotta get that fight. That's why you see a lot of the pro players sort of lean more towards roaches than anything else.
Yeah, that's why we see this, that gasless build has been really popular until recently. That's what I was talking about, the speedlings. Just get in here, there's not enough roaches, not enough DPS, they just target fire the hatch, and they get out with a good chunk left over. Maybe even going to the natural nut, that won't work. That's where the wall's there.
Okay, so the big disengage, but denying a third base once, it's annoying, but it's not the end of the game. If you can deny this 2 or 3 times, though, that's when it starts becoming close to the end of the game, especially if a player is investing in the roaches instead of the mutas. So, I mean, Rivera's going to have a lot of map control, and I always talk about this on King Sejong Station. I will always stand by it. When we watch a lot of these games, controlling whether your opponent can get that third or not, whether they have creep spread or not, a lot of this is really going to influence the late game, and that's where ZVZs tend to get determined. So, the mutas right now, they're not really that deadly of a force, but they give him the control he needs.
Yeah. This Spine Crawler was kind of a good idea. This is the most often spot you'll see Roaches attack, and it also helped against Ling attacks, I suppose, as well. But, oh, yeah, it was a Spore. Okay. Alright, moves the other one.
Kind of necessary, though. There's not really enough Queens when there's no Hydras in sight, so... I mean, Spores are so good versus Mutas. He's got a really nice spread of them, actually.
Yeah,
but,
he's not getting in there. The whole point of getting Mutas, especially in a low count, as Rippin was talking about, you don't really get above, like, 10... is that not to necessarily do a lot of damage, but just, to have that map control. You know what's going on, you're going to transfer into Roaches, you're going to be able to meet whatever counterattack they try to do, and just go on with the game, just in a slightly different way.
Oh, he baits out the Roaches.
Whoa, and he's getting 9 more Mutas.
Okay, so there's one small exception to this, guys. If your opponent doesn't go in for infestors, or if the Hydras are really late, the Mutas have got a place in the game. And if he goes too Hydra heavy, Banelings actually beat out Hydras. So Muta Baneling can work in this matchup. But as we see right now, the deterrent from Spore Crawlers is too real. I mean, 3 shots to kill a Muta, and they attack very fast, is really not an issue. But if Rivera goes heavy Mutas, and I'm talking like 25 to 30 Mutas, you get to that point where you don't quite one-shot the Spore Crawler, but you might as well. A couple of Banelings as well. The Glaive Worm bounces on top of the Hydras. DPS is spread through what is Ghetto Splash, and it works out really nicely.
Yeah, I guess he is going to go ahead and go full on with the Mutalisk. I mean, we've been seeing that new, like, kind of all-in-ish almost. Like, it only has 1 or 2 powerful attacks, but the Roach Baneling, he's just going to go for Muta Baneling. And as you said, it can be effective against the Hydralisk.
Yeah, I really don't know if it's going to cut it or not. I mean, I'm hoping it does. It'd be cool to see, because Mutas are so rarely utilized now. They used to be the only thing you would see in ZVZ, but fallen so far out of fashion. The Spore Crawlers on one side...
Can't even get in there.
It's just to focus it. Watch, you'll lose like maybe 1 Muta. Yeah.
Okay. Well, now at the time, it's just buying time. Are there enough Hydralisks? Yeah, there is.
The DPS is really nice. It's spread pretty thick. The Mutas are going down pretty fast, down to 17 from the 20 he had before.
Yeah. Yeah. And there was other Spore Crawlers. Like, he did not go late on the Spore Crawlers. There's 3 in each base.
Yeah, plus he's got connecting ones out here in the middle. I mean, it might seem like a waste of minerals, guys, but it's a big deal. I think the key thing, though, is Rivera's really laid off the Lings. Now he's making 28 of them, but he really needed these underneath the Mutas. Not even just for the harass there, but, like, the whole Hydra Roach army was at the natural, stopping the Mutas. So that opens up that third base once again. But there was no secondary form of attack. So the Mutas are a great distraction tactic in every single matchup, but they're rarely the killing blow force.
Yeah. You have to wait a long time and be absolutely sure before you ever dedicate with Mutas. 2-2 is also finished, so the upgrades are going to play a really important part. I mean, it's a full 2-2 ahead. Rivera didn't have any indication of going towards melee upgrades even.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess the thought process, too, is if you got Banelings, it's going to take the same amount of Banelings to kill Hydras with or without those upgrades. The only thing that would really affect are these Lings, but the Banelings have got to go to the Hydras, not the Roaches, splitting out here really nicely as if he was a Terran player, but as he splits, it gives the Mutas rooms to focus fire, and as the Hydras go down, the Mutas will clean up the Roaches.
Yeah, didn't have quite enough Hydras. Those Banelings are just enough, and the Lings will buy time for the Mutas to kill the Roaches.
It was like Goldilocks, just right.
It was.
I mean, if that was even like 3 or 4 Banelings less, guys, the focus fire and the split out of Blord was pretty good. The Roach is getting in here. He knows they're going to go down. He's just trying to do as much damage as possible before they do. So snipes up a Queen. That's going to hurt the Larva. Starts building another one right away. Love this choice, because oftentimes in the late game, players will lose their Queens and neglect remaking them. And Larva is a huge deal.
I'm very surprised that Blord moved out right there. He must have thought since he took an okay engagement at the natural that he would be okay moving forward, but it's so much safer. It's almost like playing a Protoss, honestly, right now, where it's so much safer to like 180 or 200, maybe even get Fungals in there too, and have the better army composition, as long as you don't get surprised by Banelings, that is, than just to like try and attack like that.
He keeps focusing on the third, but honestly, I think the focus point with the Mutas at least should be the natural. Draw the army there once again, then send the Lings in. But he's doing this all kind of like with a brute force shotgun, everything at once type move, and it's not really working out for him. I mean, that hatchery's still half dead.
Well, A little less, a little more, rather. Infestor's about to pop out, and I don't think Rivera is quite expecting this. Of course, he's bunching up to make sure he can take out the Spore Crawlers as fast as possible, but that might be his doom.
Yeah, gotta be very careful about those fungals. Fungals are really hard to land, though, guys. Is sort of the, I guess, devil's advocate move there, where, you know, it can be a fantastic move that wins you the game by killing all the mutas, but at the same time, it can also miss all 4 of them and be horribly embarrassing. But, oh, the Hydras are clumped up once again, and the Banelings get some pretty darn good connects.
Got to run back to the Spore Crawlers. That's what he does. So, I mean, honestly, with the amount of Spore Crawlers that he has, well, that was a totally wrong fungal. He might be able to survive, and he does have it's all on roaches. These aren't going to help.
Fungal growth goes down, but the damage for the fungal is not really that relevant. The idea is you hold the mutas in place so the Hydras can connect, so the Spore Crawlers can reburrow so the Queens can do some damage, but there's just not enough.
Yeah. Taking that really poor engagement just a little bit earlier on really set him up for almost failure. I think he can still hold on. Only down by 20 supply is not that big of a deal. I accidentally made Swarm Host, I think. Canceled and made Infestors. But maybe at this point, getting your own Banelings would actually be more effective than trying to keep going with just the Roach Hydra. Really, the major problem is that not that, like, his splits are okay, but his splitting isn't enough. Like, the Roach should be tanking all of the Baneling hits.
The Banelings are rolling once again. I fear Blord doesn't have enough. He's going to lose the Infestors. A fungal goes off of the Banelings. That's good. It kills about half the Banelings, so that's less than he has to worry about. Or, well, it segments them off, I guess. Doesn't quite kill them. You need that second fungal to lock it down, but still.
Never enough Hydralisks.
Yeah, this is the problem. I mean, he's pumping out 10 at a time, he's pumping out 11 at a time. He hides around the Spore Crawlers. Blord's making the right moves, but it's kind of from a position of you've lost too much at this point. This is already snowballed out of control. It's like when Reapers attack. You know, unless you kill that one Reaper or 10 mutas really early, they build up very quickly, and you just never have enough to completely finish them. So right now, I mean, there's a really nice spread of an army that hides behind Spores. But that's it, they're hiding behind Spores. Rivera's on 4 bases. He could easily take a 5th. This is that map control I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Muta count up to 36 now, Jesus.
Ooh, good fungal. You know, beneath the Spore, although the Spore did die. This is like finally that engagement that he was wishing for, and he takes on a huge chunk of mutas.
Yeah, that went from 36 to 17. 20 mutas like died in that engagement. The Link's so late to the party, and that was really that was what he needed to get back in this game, quite frankly.
Yeah, you know, he never really was entirely out of it. He was already down by like 20 supply, and it was really the fact that the mutas kept on surviving without any Hydralisks that was even like why it looked kind of one-sided. But I still think, especially with the upgrades to consider, like Blord's gonna have consistently the better army. His problem has been like not waiting until a better supply counts. If he has a better supply count, he probably takes these a lot easier.
I kind of wish at the same time Rivera would get his own Infestors out, possibly. Because that's the big thing, the Hydras are splitting from the Banelings. You lock them in place, Banelings roll in, laugh your ass off. But while he's been splitting the mutas pretty decently, he needs to make sure he splits the Banelings. Because he got fungal and lost like half the Banelings in that last attack.
Yeah. Also, good to note that the creep has been killed by the Lings or whatever, but the point is that it's not connected to the 4th, which is pretty important. The mutas, whoa, there's so many Hydralisks.
They're clumped up, they go down, but the Banelings were mostly wasted, I feel, because the mutas weren't quite here to fight. More Banelings rolling in, though. I didn't realize he had a round 2 ready to go, so this might just be enough. No fungals available. Spore Crawler is still standing, but he can't fight this without the ground support. And Rivera is starting to bleed this game out.
Yeah, this is, I mean, there is a reason why you usually don't see Muta Ling Bling, or if you do, it's like it attacks once or twice and it wins.
You know what? A lot of this comes down to those upgrades. I mean, look at hit G. It's just, Rivera's got nothing. He's got level 1 mutal weapons, and that's it.
I'm on the game heart overlay, so I just look in the bottom right.
I'm not lucky enough to get to use the game heart overlay because for some reason they insist on using the ESL interface.
Womp womp. I don't agree with this pushing out again, though. This is what he did wrong in the first place, like 10 minutes ago.
Both players fighting off the creep here, but the Banelings get some pretty decent connects, however, mostly to Roaches, not the Hydras. And just a small note about the overlay, guys. We are pushing to try and get Copa America to use different overlays, because I know the ESL one is probably the one people love the least.
Oh, no. Did you just throw this game away?
Oh my god, those Lings. So many of them, but they have no upgrades. They got no armor. They get shredded to bits by everything. A fungal growth on top of the Spore Crawler. Oh, there's not enough mutas to focus it. Rivera's gonna lose.
So sick. Oh my god, Spore Crawlers.
Oh no, the fungal growth goes down. This is ridiculous. This thing's racked up almost 10 muta kills. 10 as it dies.
Dude, that Spore Crawler is a freaking hero.
It's like the definition of cost efficient.
Wow, wow.
You know, at this point,
and
you know what?
Rivera.
Rivera needs, I would say, honestly, Ultras. Naked Ultras, even without upgrades, are fantastic against Roaches and Hydras. But he doesn't have that hive tech, despite having all these bases, all this map control, all this money. He's been tunnel visioning, trying to go for a killing blow, when he really should have just been abusing his map control.
Yeah, I think so as well. The resources loss also kind of reflects that. Blord definitely taking much better engagements each time. But I agree. Like anything else besides just Bling Bling Muta. I think the timing for when it's gonna work has passed as long as Blord doesn't get impatient, which he's done twice now, but hopefully he'll learn from that last mistake and wait until he's maxed. I mean, he is winning the engagements that he's defending, and he has a fourth base now. Like he can actually wait till he's maxed and be okay.
It's just kind of hilarious when you think about both players have actually defended technically every attack.
Yeah, it's true.
ZVZ usually the most aggressive, most offensive matchup, but this is like the most defensive one. Fungal growth!
Oh, these fungals.
Oh, the fungal growth! He's gonna lose his whole army here.
Yeah.
Rivera is gonna lose everything to this attack. The Banelings can't quite connect to the Hydra. So many of them still remain in the fungal growths are locking the mutas in place. Getting shredded to bits. Rivera disengages with less than a handful of units alive.
Okay, so Blord's gonna move forward again. Thinks he took a great engagement, but I'm still kind of worried, seriously, because so many Banelings can be made, and that's always been his problem. He does have one fungal left, so as long as the Banelings are clumped up, that means the Banelings no longer matter.
I think you might have just enough momentum, as long as he puts the Roaches on the front line, as long as the Hydras don't get immediately Banelinged upon.
Right. The Infestors, I think, are like the fact that we have fungals, and he's not making that many Banelings either. There's not a mass amount of Banelings coming.
Oh, they do get a bit of a sideswipe
Whoa,
action, and the
fungals!
Banelings get to the nougaty center of this army known as Hydralis. That should not have happened.
Why? Oh my god.
This is.
I know, like, every single time he's like, wow, that was a pretty good engagement. Let me go ahead and counterattack. But his opponent's on 5 bases. He's still, like, coming up with your supply.
I'm doing the Game of Thrones theme song right there, guys.
Heh.
'Cause that's really, you know what, this is what I love about StarCraft though, honestly. Sometimes it is these games where you get this intense back and forth because players are making mistakes non-stop back and forth. No one's really the worst player. They're both kind of just throwing away these horrible engagements. But I gotta say, I think Blord took the upper hand despite losing his army. You know, he really beat Rivera back, and Rivera's army composition is something that relies on snowballing really hard. It's not something like Roach Hydra where you can get those 3/3 upgrades and eventually just win through special tactics. You have to snowball. It's not an if, it's a you have to.
Blord just has the better composition, the better upgrades, and the fact that he, sectioned off his roaches during that last attack. The mutas had such a tough time cleaning them up. I mean, they were in 4 bases.
Well, look at the workers killed too. I mean, this was even for like the last 20 minutes of the game. Suddenly gets a 23 workers lead. Yeah.
The third from Blord is just hard to take from because I'm losing the drones over there.
Well, both players with a pretty even worker count. I mean, it's still perfectly fine for Rivera, even though he lost a lot of them, but that was a massive lead that he had. However, I guess almost does him a favor because now he's got more supply available for army. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I talked about this earlier, but I wasn't sure if we'd ever actually see it. We got the subterranean assault coming.
I really feel like Blord should have already won this game.
I know, I'm so frustrated.
I
feel like Rivera could have won this game too. Like both of these guys could have.
That's true. That's true.
It's kind of like
I feel like Blord. Yeah, I feel like Blord should win though. That may be biased. Like I don't want to knock a fun new style because this is a fun style that we don't see a lot. But like the Roach Hydra Infestor composition, especially if played absolutely correctly, there's a reason why you stop building mutas after 10, unless you get a really good advantage in the beginning. But that's the fungal.
Instead of infested Terrans, I don't like that choice. I mean, it kills the workers, but infested Terrans will kill the workers and the hatchery.
Yeah, and the mutas won't be able to clean them up that nicely.
But guys, I said it earlier in this game, and I'm going to stress it again. Like, you're seeing a lot of examples why you don't keep going mutas if your opponent doesn't match you on mutas. Because it's really easy for us to observe and be like, haha, Pinky's out, we're so snobby, this guy's so bad. But it's not that it's bad, it's just the composition doesn't work in the late game. This is really a mid-game oriented composition with these mutas, with these links, with these banelings.
Yeah. I'm getting really, like, the hints of the whole... That new build, I don't hesitate to call it all-in, but the Roach Baneling, where you literally just stick on Roach Baneling and you get like almost maxed out, and you have really 2 very big, strong punches, but then you're kind of fizzled out from there. It's almost exactly what this Muta Bling style is doing. I swear, guys, the only reason this is going so long is that Blord has been impatient, but finally coming out at a 180 maxed out supply.
Get some pretty good fungals. There are certainly enough Hydras this time. This has been a big problem for the majority of this game, but as every mutant dissipates, Rivera's left with a small handful of Banelings. That will not win him the game.
They're like, are we late?
It's finally game.
We're a little late.
There's no way he recovers off this one. We've had great defenses so far, but that was everything. You know, every time he's gotten away with 9 mutas, a couple of Banelings, a couple of Zerglings. This time he lost absolutely everything, and his army supplies 1 muta, 3 queens.
Yeah. Yeah, this is it. It will be 1-1.
I forgot. I thought this was game 3 for some reason. But no complaints here because that was a pretty fun game 2. So we'll get into game 3 in a moment, guys. I don't know what the I think it's Nimbus. Yeah, Nimbus will be the 3rd map. So we're gonna get that loaded up. We're gonna go a commercial break because it's been about an hour since we played our last ad. So do as kindness and watch these guys. We'll see you in a few minutes with the resolution, the final match, game 3, after the commercials. See you soon. And welcome back to the ad break, guys. Or from the ad break. Thank you, Kelly, for watching those ads. Blizzard thanks you as well. We are just waiting on all the streams to get ready to rock and roll. This will be the last game tonight. The last single game in this last best of 3 to determine seeding here for the groups. Map intro's coming. We'll see you in a sec. back to Copa America. Here we are in game number 3. Oh, my mic's still muted. Hang on. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. You probably didn't hear me before the map intros either, sending us into it. Anyways, game number 3 currently underway. This is the last game. Both these players are already qualified for Season 2, so congratulations to both. But this match will determine seeding coming into the group stages, which will take place, I think, about 2 weeks? 1.5 weeks from now? Either way, spawning at the top right corner of the map, the man who likes his mutas, the blue Zerg player from Rebirth, Rivera.
The bottom right as the red Zerg. It is Blord.
Alright, so this is this is the map with the base expansion. We might get a longer game out of this one, as it's a lot safer to expand. But as pointed out before, guys, and this still applies in ZVZ, not just ZVP or ZVT, if you take your natural base out here, it's going to give you a lot of extra creep spread. And there's been, okay, some arguments in the past, like, ooh, is creep spread even good ZVZ? You know, you give your opponent a speed bonus. But the reality is the sight bonus, the vision you get from those creep tumors, the 12 or 20 seconds it takes for your opponent to clean up all the creep tumors on the way to your base, I mean, it's all worthwhile, and sometimes can be the difference of your upgrades finishing, your army being out in time, or positioning being achieved. I mean, one way or another, creep is perfectly fine and perfectly good to have plenty of, even in a ZVZ matchup. But Rivera
Also can
Oh.
sorry.
Nope, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it depends on the matchup. If Rivera was to go for the mass muta style again, obviously it would be in the Roach Hydra player's best interest to go ahead and creep spread.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so right now, sadly, he has to gamble 50-50, bottom. He will not, actually, he might with the Overlord. If he sees this, he might just turn around and go to the bottom right. He should see this right now and have a pretty good idea where his opponent spawns. So yeah, he's going to head right there. Early Speedlings, no bailing behind this. He did pull fully off of gases. It's just simply the Speedling all in on this, guys. And this, well, it's going to catch him off guard initially. But drone stacking, buying time for your queen to get out, making sure you've got enough minerals to maybe throw a spine card down if you get really desperate. I mean, Blord has lings at his base, and that's the bottom line.
Yeah. This map is so interesting for this, because usually we see it at the natural, but obviously immediately at the main.
Well, it's also the point where you play into the Ultra Z sort of aspect of where you assume everyone's just going to expand on this map because it's a safe expand, so you exploit that. You know, assuming your opponent goes for the hatchery first, you go for the earlier pool. You get your opponent's base before they have queens out, and it's only drones and Zerglings to defend. I mean, Rivera will take this fight and kill a good couple drones, but he's got to kill enough before that queen comes out. Because once the queen comes out, this is a very easy defense.
Yeah, Blord shouldn't have taken any fight to those lings. You should be keeping them with the drone line. Finally, now with the queen out, that's when you actually take the fight, but speed finishes just at that time.
Yeah, good timing on this. Downside is, though, defender's advantage is a very, very real thing in StarCraft 2, guys, and as we see, he's able to pump out lings like crazy, but fights away from his queen. Not loving this choice. Drones go for this round. Actually trying to attack instead of hold position. But queen getting chipped away, gets a little bit low. Rivera maintaining his lings, a lot of them very, very close to getting one shot.
Oh no, attack. Okay, I took down a few of those low health lings with his own, but that was a pretty solid defense so far, but Rivera is not done, and I think, well, Blord has an Overlord just in a very nice position, seeing it. Oh, that's actually pretty big. That's his... He doesn't have enough money to get another one.
Yeah, he has to pump more lings. Meanwhile, Rivera could expand very easily behind this. He could perhaps get his own queen for... oh no, he's already got one, never mind, just his position. But the speed advantage in this is being very visible right now, guys. It gives you the surround. There's no extra DPS added by this, but it allows more lings to connect more quickly, and that's why you see Rivera taking these fights so easily. There's not a lot of lings left, but there's not a lot of defense yet for Blord either.
The biggest problem for Blord is that he just hasn't been mining enough. He doesn't have enough money to throw on, an extra queen, an extra spawn crawler, much less all the lings he has to afford. Rivera, on the other hand, actually rolling in money, I guess because he doesn't have enough larvae.
Yeah, 11 drones to 12, evening it up at this point. The only advantage Blord has is the hatchery, and normally you'd say, like, okay, the hatchery's the advantage, you defend, you win, but he can't defend. This is it. It looks like Rivera with this extra ling flood is about to push his way through here. He's going to take the top seed of this bracket. He's going to beat this out with a 2-1. Really nicely played here.
Yeah, definitely a good move to end a best of 3.
He's going to kill everything. I can't afford to make another drone. Alright, guys. Well played. GG's.